The wind howled like a chorus of ghosts across the snow-covered ridges of the Ardennes. Private James Callahan tightened the straps of his backpack, feeling the icy sting of the morning air bite through his uniform. The white expanse stretched endlessly, broken only by the skeletal remains of trees scarred by artillery. Every step he took crunched sharply, each sound swallowed immediately by the vast silence around him. James had been with the 101st Airborne for months, but nothing could have prepared him for this winter. The Battle of the Bulge had begun just days ago, and his unit had been tasked with holding a strategic hill overlooking a frozen river. Intelligence suggested a German advance was imminent. Failure meant the collapse of the line and countless lives lost. He checked his watch. 5:47 a.m. The sun hadn't yet risen, and the sky bled a pale blue that offered little warmth. His squad huddled in the shallow trenches, their breaths forming clouds that drifted into the frozen dawn. Sergeant Miller, a grizzled man with years etched into his face, crouched beside him. "Stay sharp," Miller whispered. "They'll be coming through the trees soon." The first shots came at 6:12 a.m. distant at first, sharp cracks that echoed like thunder. James' heart jumped. He sighted his rifle down the snowy slope, the barrel trembling slightly in his frozen hands. In the distance, shadows moved through the pines. German soldiers, their dark uniforms stark against the white landscape, advanced with deadly precision. The firefight erupted. Snow flew in every direction as bullets tore through the silence. James fired, reloaded, and fired again, each shot a desperate measure against the tide of enemies pressing forward. He saw his friends fall, one after another, and yet they kept moving, keeping the line intact. By midday, the battle had settled into a grim stalemate. James took cover behind a snow-laden tree stump, breathing heavily. His fingers were numb, and the metallic taste of fear coated his tongue. That's when he noticed movement farther down the hill. A lone German officer, separated from his unit, moving with urgency toward a small communications post. James' instincts screamed. If the officer reached the post, he could call reinforcements that might overwhelm their position. Without thinking, James sprinted across the snow, bullets whizzing past him. The snow was deep, swallowing his legs with every step, but adrenaline carried him faster than he thought possible. He tackled the officer just yards from the post. They struggled in the snow, the cold biting at their faces, each trying to gain the upper hand. James finally overpowered him, pinning him down, and grabbed his sidearm. The officer's eyes, wide with shock, met James in the pale winter light. "You're—" "Just one man," the German spat, his teeth chattering from the cold and fear. "Not any more," James muttered, dragging him back toward their lines. When James returned, the squad had regrouped and was pushing the Germans back step by step. Reinforcements arrived later that afternoon, turning what had been a desperate defense into a solid counterattack. By evening, the hill was secure, and the frozen river sparkled under the setting sun, blood and snow mingling into a grim reminder of the day's toll. James looked around at the devastation, the empty eyes of his fallen friends etched into his memory. He pulled his collar tighter, feeling the icy wind against his face. "We survived," he whispered, though the cost was heavy. That night, as the soldiers huddled in the trenches, James wrote in his journal. He wrote about the frozen hill, the bitter wind, and the officer who had almost changed the course of their fight. He wrote about courage, fear, and the silent promise he made to the men who didn't make it. And somewhere in the snowy darkness of the Ardennes, he felt a small spark of hope, because even in the deadliest winters, a soldier could endure.